All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Robbie One Kenobi, and this video is my NXT TakeOver the End review. Overall, guys, I thought last night's show was another very good TakeOver special from NXT. I haven't really seen one bad NXT TakeOver special. Granted, I haven't seen the original TakeOver, though I don't think that was a bad show. I haven't seen NXT Arrival as well, but I mean, once again, NXT delivering another really good TakeOver special. Just 2 straight hours of really good wrestling. I just enjoyed the show from start to finish. So without any further ado, let's just get right down to my review. So we kicked off the show with Andrade, Cien, Almas versus Ty Dillinger. Of course, this was Almas's NXT debut, and this was a good, fun opener. It did what it needed to do. It showed off. It was a showcase for Andrade Almas for so we could see what he's all about. It was a good match. He showed some of his lucha libre style, early on. You had him and Ty Dillinger chain wrestling. Dillinger got out of it. He did a cartwheel and then his trademark 10 pose. And what was really cool about this match was that the crowd was chanting, half the crowd was chanting for Dillinger. The other crowd was chanting he's 100, because Almas's nickname of Cien means 100 in Spanish. So like I said, guys, it was a good, fun opener. You had Almas showing some impressive, not flexibility, but there were a couple times in the match when he was Irish whipped to the turnbuckle, and he did like a handstand, on the turnbuckle, and he just how he was able to keep his frame and everything was impressive. He didn't do it for long, but he did a couple of those in the turnbuckle. At one point, he did this wicked. He goes for a moonsault from the top rope, and he lands on his feet because it looks like Dillinger rolled away, and then he did a standing moonsault right after that. That was a really sick move. There was also a spot where Almas was gonna go for a dive on the outside, and he did I guess you want to say a reverse 619, because instead of actually doing the 619, he did Tyler Breeze's pose on the middle rope, which I thought was really cool and was fun to see. During the second spot where Almas did that handstand, Ty Dillinger caught him with a wicked super kick. And after that, he went for the tiebreaker, which is that fireman's carry into the neck breaker onto the knee finishing move. Almas countered with the I guess it's called the wheelbarrow bulldog. It's that bulldog that Rey Mysterio does, where it looks like he's gonna go for a roll up. Then he brings his body up and does the bulldog. And after that, he connected with a running, not a Bronco Buster, but he connected with running a double running knee. I guess you can call it splash into the corner, and he got the 1, 2, 3 with that move. So Andrade Cien Almas wins his NXT debut, like I predicted. He sort of got a mixed reaction from the crowd. Like I said, I thought the match was a good, fun opener. I had fun watching him in his debut match. We'll see how far he goes in NXT. I mean, I know he's a renowned luchador, as he used to wrestle as the masked luchador La Sombra, which meant the shadow in Spanish. But good opener, good debut for Almas. He had an interesting. He wore traditional lucha libre tights, but when he came out, he wore a fedora with a feather in it and gangster suspenders. So that was cool. It's gonna be interesting to see, like I said, how well he does in NXT. I'm not saying that he's not gonna do well. I'm just interested in seeing how he does in the future. But good debut, good showing in his debut. 2.25 stars, and as always, guys, the match ratings are down below in the description box. Next, we had the NXT Tag Team Championship match. American Alpha defending against the Revival. This was just an awesome Tag Team Championship match, guys. I mean, this match was. I think this match was a little better than their TakeOver Dallas match. I mean, don't get me wrong, the TakeOver Dallas match was another awesome Tag Team Championship match. I felt like this one, however, in the rematch had some better storytelling. One thing that Corey Graves and Tom Phillips brought up in this match is that the Revival admitted in the previous match that they tried to out-wrestle American Alpha, and that's not their style. They're more hard-hitting, like the Brainbusters. They're old school. So that was really good storyline continuity and character progression. You know, American Alpha, or the Revival, excuse me, admitting that they tried to out-wrestle American Alpha, and that was their biggest downfall, because American Alpha are the naturally gifted wrestlers, you know, the Revival or the Brawlers. So the Revival, they mainly brawled, and they stuck to their game plan of neutralizing both guys. But early on in this match, you know, American Alpha, they took over. They were taking over. Chad Gable with his unique arm drags and the head scissors. At one point, you know, American Alpha were going to Irish whip the Revival into each other, and then the Revival, like, they locked arms and tried to counter, and then American Alpha brought him down with, you know, with like the amateur wrestling takedown by pulling both their legs out from each other. American Alpha, like I said, guys, they were in control of this match early on in the beginning, and then from there, you know, Dash and Dawson resorted to their old school hard-hitting tactics. You know, they didn't try to out-wrestle American Alpha. They tried to brawl. I know Jason Jordan at one point when he got the tag, he knocked them both down with like wicked clotheslines, and that wasn't even the hot tag. That was like early in the match when he was tagged in. From that point on, you had American Alpha. I forgot who. I think it was Jason Jordan they hit this move on, but they did like a modified shatter machine on the, like, to the outside. There was one really wicked spot where and I don't think I'm going in order, but I'm just remembering, you know, the spots that I remember. So Dash and Dawson have Chad Gable up, like, I think it's Dash has Chad Gable up on his shoulders for like a doomsday device. Dawson goes to clothesline Gable from the top rope, and Gable manages to counter it into a belly to belly. It's a move that you have to see to believe. Also, you saw like Dash and Dawson utilize some good double team tactics. This is way before that belly to belly counter by Gable. There's one point where I think Gable tried to roll Dawson up, and Dash, you know, Gable got, you know, Dawson kicked Gable off him, and Dash nailed him with a Dash nailed him with a wicked like forearm, and then Dawson tried to roll Gable up. That was a very close 2 count. There was also a spot where Jordan was going for a suplex on Dash, and Dawson got a blind tag. So, how did it work? So Dash, okay. So then after the blind tag, Jordan Dash counters a suplex. He tries to roll tries to roll Jason Jordan up, and then Dawson hits him with a wicked clothesline for another very close 2 count. There were some close near falls in this match that made me think like American Alpha were going to lose the tag team championships. You know, once Jason Jordan got the hot tag, you know, he is the king of hot tags. When he got that hot tag, he just went in there and he was knocking the Revival down left and right. You know, suplexes, exploder suplexes, belly-to-belly suplexes. And Jason Jordan has one hell of a drop kick. I mean, the elevation that he gets in those drop kicks is awesome. And then came the ending, guys. And what basically happened, I didn't see this coming. No one saw this coming. So basically, American Alpha goes for Grand Amplitude, but I believe it's Dawson who's able to neutralize Chad Gable, knock him out of the ring, and then out of nowhere, as Jordan's going for his portion of the move, Dawson grabs Dash. Dash sets up Jordan. Boom! Shatter Machine, 1, 2, 3. The Revival regain the NXT Tag Team Championships, and they become the first ever 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. I was shocked, guys, because honestly, when they hit the Shatter Machine, I thought Chad Gable was going to get in the ring and break up the 3 count. But no, when the referee counted 3, I was shocked, like a lot of people at a Full Sail. They were stunned, silent. Dash and Dawson have reclaimed the NXT Tag Team Championships. You have to believe, though, Jordan and Gable are going to get their rematch at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. If they do a rubber match, I want it to be like a ladder match or a 2 out of 3 falls match, some kind of special stipulation match like that. But I have no problem with Dash and I was shocked, I was surprised, but I have no problem with Dash and Dawson regaining the tag team championships because you know it's going to lead to something big at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. We'll see exactly what that leads to. After the match, as Jordan and Gable are as they're recuperating, out come these 2 big monsters dressed in all black that just annihilate them. I mean, they beat them down. They beat Jordan and Gable down. You know, they hit Gable with a boot into a spin and side slam combination, and then with Jordan, they hit him with a clothesline, Russian leg sweep, double team. I have no clue who these guys are. The only thing that the only person we were able to identify was Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, because Ellering came out after these 2 monsters assaulted and laid out American Alpha, and they walked away. They walked to the back with Ellering. So these guys are obviously Ellering's new recruits. I don't know who they are, but they're big freaking monsters, and it looks like they're going to be feuding with American Alpha. Now, I don't know if they're going to get a shot at the tag team championships if American Alpha regain. Like, I don't know if Alpha's going to be the champions when they feud with this team, whoever they are, but these guys are freaking monsters. I mean, they laid out American Alpha big time. So we'll see what happens. But as far as, you know, this match between American Alpha and the Revival, another awesome tag team championship match. I think it was slightly better than the Dallas match because I like the storytelling in this, especially how the character progression and continuity with Revival not trying to out-wrestle American Alpha, like they learned from their mistakes. They went back to their old tactics. They, you know, were ground and pound, smash, you know, no flips, just fists. Just an awesome tag team championship match, 4 stars. You know, I just really enjoyed it, and that just goes to show you how important the tag team division is in NXT and tag team wrestling in general. Next, we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Austin Aries. This was a hell of a match, guys. I mean, it delivered like a lot of us thought it would. You know, early on, you had Nakamura and Aries try to one-up each other. Aries was not intimidated by Nakamura. You know, he got in Nakamura's face. Nakamura played his little mind games with Aries, and then when they got to wrestling, they hit each other hard with, you know, with every strike they pulled out of their book. You had Nakamura, of course, once again utilizing his strong side. You know, he was nailing Aries with wicked knees to the head. He nailed Aries with his trademark knee to the sternum. And what was interesting about this match was Aries came out with taped ribs. Now, at first I was thinking maybe he's hiding like some kind of sternum protector underneath that tape. So if Nakamura goes for that knee move to the sternum, Nakamura will hurt himself, and that could lead to Aries, you know, working on Nakamura's knee and ultimately taking out the Kinshasa. But it didn't come into play. You know, Nakamura drilled Aries with that knee to the sternum, and, you know, it had no effect on Nakamura. It had more of an effect on Aries than it did Nakamura. But Aries, meanwhile, managed to turn the tables around. He knocked Nakamura out of the ring with that spinning discus forearm, and then he rammed Nakamura into the guardrail with a dive through the middle rope. You know, it was just a real hard-hitting fight between Nakamura and Aries. Nakamura hit his trademark knee from the top rope to the back of Aries' head, and Tom Phillips actually, he got caught up in the excitement of the match and called it the Kinshasa, which it wasn't. Corey Graves had to correct him on that, and then he actually went for the Kinshasa, and Aries counter. I believe he was going for like the reverse exploder suplex. But yeah, sorry guys, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I was trying to think what happened after that. But Aries did lock in the last chance toward the end of this match. Nakamura managed to get to the ropes, and then they were fighting on the ring apron. And I thought for a moment that Nakamura was going to go for the Kinshasa on the apron because he looked positioned, he looked poised to hit that move. And Aries countered with this wicked and nasty Death Valley driver on that ring apron, on the hardest portion of the ring apron. And I honestly, you know, Nakamura's lucky he didn't break his neck or anything, the way he took that move. But that move ultimately led to the end of the match, and believe it or not, it ultimately led to Austin Aries' demise. And what I mean by that is Aries went for another dive through the middle rope, and he missed and landed on the barricade. He landed on the steel guardrail. So Nakamura took advantage. He rolled Aries back into the ring, and he hit him with, I believe he hit him with the knee move again, where he rolls back and then he runs and hits you in the sternum with the knee, and then he set Aries up for the finisher. And I love this. Corey Graves is all like, "Well, if you're gonna call it, if you're gonna call it, Phillips, get it right this time." And he hit Nakamura, and Nakamura hit Aries with the Kinshasa for the 1-2-3, and Shinsuke Nakamura remains undefeated in NXT. Austin Aries suffers his first loss in NXT, but it was not really a big loss when you look at it, because he had a hell of a match with Nakamura. I sense that Aries is going to turn heel, and I think he'll do much better in NXT. I think he'll do better, not much better, because he's been doing fine so far, but I think he'll do better in NXT as a heel. No Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode did not debut in this match. I was just waiting to see if he actually would get involved in this match, and then we get a Dirty Heels reunion. But this match, just hell of a match from start to finish. Great match between Nakamura and Aries, delivered like I expected. In my opinion, I liked this match. I liked the tag team match a little more than this match. This is just my opinion, guys. I'm not saying this match sucked, because I thought Nakamura and Aries delivered a hell of a match. You know, would I say this was the second best match of the night? Well, I'll get to that after I discuss the steel cage match between Joe and Bálor. But awesome match. Once again, Nakamura goes out there and has a kick-ass match at a TakeOver special. And like I said, I don't think this really hurts Austin Aries, this loss, but I think now is the perfect time to turn him heel, because he's been teasing a heel turn. He's been showing signs of a heel turn. But he has no shame in losing this match with Nakamura. I thought like I said, they put on a hell of a match, and you got to believe that now Nakamura is going to be in the title hunt. You got to believe he's going to be bred for that NXT Championship next. So I got a feeling Nakamura is going to main event Brooklyn against the NXT champion. Next, we had the NXT Women's Championship, Asuka versus Nia Jax. Asuka, of course, the defending champion, Nia Jax, the challenger. I thought this was a good women's match. You know, I don't think this match was better than Nia's championship match against Bayley at NXT TakeOver London. But for what this was, and for how long it was, because it didn't go that long, but it was still a good women's match for the time that it got. Nia Jax, you know, right off the bat, Nia Jax once again established her power, her dominance. She freaking threw Asuka across the ring, you know, and it wasn't like she pushed her back. She threw Asuka and caused Asuka to spin with that toss. And Nia, you know, showed her dominance, showed power moves. And the difference between this match and the match that Asuka had, or that Bayley had with Nia Jax, was that in that match at London, you know, Nia was constantly dominating Bayley, and Bayley, of course, you know, was the underdog in that match, as she always is, and she persevered, and she, you know, she did what she does best, and that's win in situations like that. In this match, you had Asuka. She would get dominated, but then she would fight back. You know, she wouldn't back down. They would trade blows here and there. You know, Asuka would try to apply submission holds, because she's known for her submission wrestling. She got an armbar on Nia early on. She also tried to get the Asuka lock on early, and Nia managed to counter. You know, I thought this was a good match. I thought Nia looked good in this match for what it was. I'm not saying it was a bad match. Like I said, it was a good, hard-hitting women's championship match for the time that it got. You know, Asuka managed to bring Nia down to her knees with her martial arts strikes. She hit Nia with the hip attack for a near count. for a near fall, for a 2 count, excuse me. You also had Nia. I believe Nia hit a spine buster. I know she hit a spine buster. I think, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. Sometimes with these live reviews, I can't remember everything that happened. So I think from now on, when I do any kind of review for a WWE Network special, be it a pay-per-view or an NXT TakeOver special, I'm going to take like keynotes from now on, so I'm not always stammering or stuttering or losing my train of thought, you know. But getting back to this match, yeah, Nia hit a spine buster on Asuka. There was a point where she had Asuka on the outside of the ropes, and she was like, not rubbing her face, but she was like kind of like pulling back on Asuka's face, kind of like smearing the paint on Asuka's face. Yeah. And then in the end, guys, Asuka managed to knock Nia down with more martial arts strikes. She hit her with 2 wicked roundhouse kicks. And then Nia Jax, like a beast, like unleashed a battle cry at Asuka. And then Asuka later out with 1 more roundhouse kick, followed by a flying, running roundhouse kick to score the 1-2-3 and retain her NXT Women's Championship. Kudos to Asuka and Nia for the hard-hitting match that they had. I think Nia had another good match for what she was given against Asuka. But now, guys, I think with Asuka having slayed Nia, it's apparent that we're going to get the rematch between Asuka and Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. You know, that has to be like 2 out of 3 falls or maybe even a 30-minute Iron Woman match. I mean, it has to be some kind of stipulation match because this rematch, I believe, could have very compelling storytelling for what's on the line. You know, Asuka looking to regain her title or retain her title and, you know, retain her supremacy in the women's division while Bayley has a lot to fight for. So I'm just really looking forward to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn when those two have their rematch. I do not want Asuka versus Bayley versus Nia Jax. I think Nia Jax needs to face a few more of her fellow women, her fellow wrestling sisters, build herself up some more, come up with a stronger finisher than that leg drop, and then reassert herself in the women's title picture. But for now, Asuka and Nia had a good women's wrestling match, and you know, now with Asuka having retained, it's on to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and the big rematch with Bayley. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, guys, I want a stipulation like 2 out of 3 falls or a 30-minute Iron Woman match. And either way, we'll get one hell of a compelling women's wrestling match, and there'll be some compelling storytelling throughout it. And finally, guys, we get to the main event. The first ever steel cage match in NXT history for the NXT Championship. The champion Samoa Joe defending against the challenger, the Demon Finn Bálor. I thought this, for the most part, guys, was a great cage match, but I was a little disappointed because I was expecting a little more from this match. With how it was built and with, you know, what was on the line, I expected a little more from this cage match, you know, considering that this was the end of Joe and Bálor's rivalry. I didn't think this was a bad cage match. I still thought it was a great cage match, but I was expecting a little more. Finn debuted new war paint, and it wasn't black and red or black and red with blue trim. It was black and white. And Finn had a wicked entrance with like cage doors in the entrance ramp. He kicked the cage door down in the middle, and he made his entrance. The match, like I said, was great. You had the traditional steel cage spots, you know, with the guys getting thrown into the cage, but Bálor, instead of getting thrown face first into the cage, Joe was physically, he was tossing him into the cage, like, and Bálor was landing back first on the steel, which resulting in some wicked bumps. You know, Joe would get thrown face first to the cage, but Bálor his whole body was getting thrown into that freaking cage. I was wondering if there was going to be any kind of blood in the match. Nobody bled, but if there was blood, this was the kind of match that needed some color, you know, needed some blood. You know, you had both guys hit each other with their trademark moves. You know, you had Joe pounding Finn in the corner with his fast fist and then nailing him with the jumping soccer kick. You had Bálor nail Joe with a Pele kick. I forgot what it was called. Pele kick, excuse me. There was one spot that was very unique where Bálor had Joe on the outside of the ropes, and he was nailing Joe with, forearms and a couple of charging drop kicks, knocking Joe back into the steel cage. And then he actually managed to get on the top rope, and he hit Joe with a kick, with a kind of punt kick that wobbled Joe and caused Joe's limp body to fall on the ropes and actually knock Bálor off the ropes, or cause him to land crotch first on the ropes. So that was a unique spot. So it was like Bálor managed to get some momentum, but his one attack managed to also derail that momentum in the same sense. What was interesting was Joe tried to go for the door right at the start of the match, which was interesting because I thought Joe would have gone right for Bálor and tried to manhandle him. But after that, Joe went into attack mode and he took over. He got a coquina clutch while he was trapped. Like before Bálor went on that reign of drop kicks and forearms with Joe on the outside of the ropes against steel. Joe got him in the coquina clutch, and Bálor managed to counter, and then he went on that assault with drop kicks and forearms before he hit him with a punt kick that led to him falling crotch first on the ropes. Joe hit the muscle buster, and Bálor kicked out at 2. Shortly after that, Bálor hit the coup de grace for a 2 count, and after that, after he managed to lay Joe out again, the fans were chanting up, 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 and okay, now I remember. Excuse me, because I apologize again if I lose my train of thought or if I forget. They were chanting up, and at that point I'm thinking, okay, he's either gonna try to climb out the cage or he's gonna go for the coup de grace. And before that, Bálor managed to hit a super sling blade off the top rope onto the floor, onto the mat, obviously not on the floor. And then he hit 2 more sling blades after that. But the sling blade off the ropes was wicked. The sling blade off the top rope was freaking wicked. So anyway, guys, getting back to the end of the match, Bálor goes up, and as he's climbing out, Joe tries to stop him from reaching the top of the cage. Bálor knocks him off twice. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to either climb out the cage or he's going for a super coup de grace off that cage. Well, it doesn't happen because as he's trying to climb out of the cage, Joe manages to stop him. Joe stops him in his tracks, slams Bálor headfirst into the steel, into a steel rod or whatever it was on the cage, and then he manages to get Bálor in position for a muscle buster, dives off a second rope, and drills Bálor with the super muscle buster for the 1-2-3, and Samoa Joe wins the steel cage match and retains the NXT Championship. I really like the ending of this match, guys, with the super muscle buster, and the final few minutes in this match were just awesome. Great back and forth stuff from these guys. Another great match in their trilogy. If I had to pick, I'd probably say, even though I haven't seen the NXT Lowell Massachusetts match, the house show match where Joe won the title, I'd have to say this was the weakest of their TakeOver matches, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was the worst because it was another great match from these guys. I just was expecting a little more in the steel cage match, but that super muscle buster was a wicked, wicked spot. And the steel cage itself was unique. I think it was wider than traditional steel cage matches. The top wasn't really a roof, but it had a nice ceiling roof, whatever you want to call it, although it wasn't like a solid steel roof. So yeah, it was a unique look for the steel cage. And overall, guys, like I said, I thought they put on another great match. I think their match at London was just awesome. I think that was the best of the 3 matches they've had at TakeOver at the TakeOver specials. And this was, like I said, another great match. I was a little disappointed because, like I said, I was expecting more, but in the end, it was just another great match between Joe and Bálor, a fitting ending for their rivalry. I give it 3 3/4 stars. And overall, guys, I give NXT TakeOver the End 8.25 out of 10. It's just another very good TakeOver special. Not a bad match at all on this card. Andrade Almas's debut was fun. You know, you had a great tag team championship match, a hell of a match between Nakamura and Aries, a good hard-hitting women's championship match, and then you had the steel cage match between Joe and Bálor. So once again, NXT delivers with their TakeOver specials, and now we are on the road to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which I am so freaking excited for, because you have to believe that we're going to get Joe versus Nakamura for the NXT Championship and Asuka versus Bayley in their rematch for the NXT Women's Championship. We may get American Alpha versus the Revival in their rubber match for the Tag Team Championships, which I would like that to be a ladder match if that's the case. We'll see what happens with Austin Aries, because you got to believe at this point Bobby Roode's going to debut, because prior to the main event, they showed a segment backstage where William Regal was being interviewed by, I believe her name is Andrea DeMarco. And as he was being interviewed, Bobby Roode just walks up from behind him and walks into Regal's office. And Regal's like, what did I just see? Like, did I just see who I thought I saw? And then he excuses himself. He goes into his office, and you can assume he had a discussion with Bobby Roode. So Bobby Roode, you got to believe Bobby Roode's going to debut at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Will he reunite with Austin Aries as the Dirty Heels? I don't know. Will he wrestle Elias Sampson or Eric Young? Don't know, but there's open possibilities for Bobby Roode. So I'm excited, guys. The road to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn begins now, having completed NXT TakeOver The End. And Triple H said that NXT TakeOver The End, well, the end referred to the end of the beginning. NXT, they've officially established themselves as an elite brand in professional wrestling, the elite, the premier brand in professional wrestling. And TakeOver The End, this was the end of the beginning. Starting after TakeOver The End, a new chapter for NXT. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what NXT has in store with all this great talent from Joe, you know, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, Nakamura, Asuka, Andrade, Cien, Almas, Ty Dillinger, the Mighty O'Neil, now known as TM61. And I forgot the name of that soccer player. They invited a soccer player over to NXT. I'm actually trying to find his name here on the website. Tim Wiese. There you go. The German rugby player or soccer player. So yeah, things are looking big and bright for NXT with this new chapter about to be written, starting, you know, next week pretty much, with the first NXT special, or the first edition of NXT of a new era, you could say, a real new era for NXT. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. This has been my NXT TakeOver The End review. As I said, I give the show an 8.25 out of 10. Just another very good show from start to finish. Leave your comments down below. What are your match ratings? What was your match of the night? What was your yeah, leave your comments down below. Tell me what your match of the night was. If anyone's curious, I thought match of the night went to American Alpha versus the Revival, with the second best match of the night being Nakamura and Austin Aries. I thought that was just an incredible fight to the finish, you know, from start to finish. I don't think it was better than Zayn versus Nakamura at TakeOver Dallas, but still Nakamura in one hell of a fight with Austin Aries. So if anyone's curious, my match of the night goes to American Alpha versus the Revival. I just really, really enjoyed that match from start to finish. And like I said, I give the show an 8.25 out of 10. So leave your comments down below, guys. Tell me what you thought of NXT TakeOver The End. How excited are you for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn? What did you think of those two monsters that debuted at the end of the Tag Team Championship match? And what do you think their motives are? And what do you think of Paul Ellering being their manager and showing up in NXT? So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. This is Robert One Kenobi signing off. Everybody have a good day. Have a good night. And I'll see you all later for another video. Peace out.